Good morning, class.
Good morning.
Yesterday we read Our Government Laws by Nina Brown. Today we're going to read it again, but we're going to be looking at the government's pros and cons, okay? The pros and cons are the advantages and disadvantages of a subject that you were talking about. And knowing the pros and cons would help us make sensible decisions in our everyday lives, okay? So in this case, our subject is
Government.
It is the government's laws. Good. Let us read. We're going to start with the title. Our Government's Laws by Nina Brown. Introduction. Every country has a government. A government is a group of people. This group of people works together to make important decisions for the country. In the United States, the government for the country is called the federal government. It runs national programs. Each state has its own government too. Cities and towns also have their own local governments. Why does the government make laws? All governments make laws. A law is a rule that everyone has to follow. A government makes laws to keep citizens safe. Let us read the caption and look at the photographs. It says, the United States Congress makes the laws. As you can see, these are Congress members. This is where laws are made, and this is one of our Capitol U.S. buildings. Paragraph 4. For example, every child in a car must wear a seatbelt. This is the law. In most states, adults must wear seatbelts too. Anyone who does not is breaking the law. How does the government keep order? Laws help the government keep order. Laws tell people what they can and cannot do. For example, there are laws about how fast a car can go. The speed limit on many highways is 65 miles per hour. There are also laws about which street cars come down. And you can see a photograph of a little girl, and she's buckled up in her seatbelt, and the law says buckle up, it is the law. Police officers work for the government. Some work for the local government. Others work for the state or federal government. They work to make sure people follow laws. What happens when a law gets broken? Many things can happen when a law gets broken. Here is an example. When a school bus has stopped to let students get on or off, cars are not allowed to pass. It is against the law to pass a school bus that has stopped for students. But one day, a man drives past a school bus that has stopped for students. A police officer sees this. He makes the driver stop. The officer writes a ticket. The ticket says which law the driver broke, and it lists a fine the driver may have to pay. And if you look at the photograph here, it's showing you the speed limit is 25. This is a law that we have to obey, which means in this area we must be driving 25 miles per hour. Sometimes a person must go to court. In a courtroom, a judge is in charge. The judge knows all about laws. A jury is a group of people. They are chosen to listen to court cases. Many juries have 12 people. A judge and jury listen to see if the person broke the law. In court, a person tells his or her side of the story. Then the jury decides if the person broke the law. Next, the judge decides what happens to the person. Here we go. Conclusion. There are federal, state, and local governments. They all pass laws. The laws help keep people safe. The laws help keep order. Police officers help keep order too. On your desk, you have the pros and cons paper. It says the pros and cons of something are its advantages and disadvantages, which you consider carefully so that you can make a sensible decision. What we are talking about right now is the government. And what we will be looking at is how the government is for the people and how sometimes the people feel the government is against us. Okay, based off of our reading, who can tell me one pro of the government? How is the government contributing? How are they beneficial to our everyday lives? Yes?
The government makes laws to keep citizens safe.
Okay, the government, write it. The government makes laws to keep citizens safe. Give me another pro. Yes.
Laws help the government keep order.
Laws help the government keep order. Very good. Write it. Another pro that's not mentioned in your reading is the government stops other countries from invading the U.S. They stop them from just coming onto our territory and taking over our national government. Another pro of the government is the government offers all citizens transportation, education, and medical services. Okay? They do offer a lot more than just these three listed here, okay? All right, so our last pro is that the government maintains a balance of power. So what that means is we're not just able to overthrow people in the government. We have elections and we have different things like that to make sure that no one in America has too much power, okay? So we'll write the government maintains, it keeps a balance of power. Let's speak about some cons as it regards to the government. What some citizens may find concerning is the government can vote in a bad leader, which means the President of the United States, everyone may not agree with whom we voted for, okay? Citizens may feel taxes are too high. When you purchase something at the store, it comes along with taxes. That's extra money that you have to pay out to the government on top of your purchase. So if your parents purchase a car or a house, they also have tax on that too, which can be very high and make the cost of living higher and difficult for them, okay? Another con is citizens are not always trusting of the government. Citizens do not always feel the government has their best interest at heart, okay? So citizens are not always trusting of the government. So that basically wraps up our lesson on pros and cons of the government, and it's to help give you a better idea of how the government is keeping us safe and also some things that we may, as citizens may find concerning about the government.
It was the year 1775. The British people living in America did not live in states then. Instead, they lived in 13 colonies. The British king ruled the colonies. Many Americans did not like his rules, so they fought to be on their own without a king.
Why is that map there?
To show you the 13 colonies.
Why is that photograph there, do you think?
To show you the king.
Very good.
Chapter 1. A nation fights back. It was an exciting day in the barn. It's the 4th of July, said the large older horse named Jacob. Today is Independence Day. 10 years ago, today the United States was Chapter 2. A brave ride. Later that night, there were 2 lights in the Old North Church. The British were going to cross Charles River by boat. They would then march to Lexington on land.
All right, so let's look at this map. This map says Paul Revere's ride. And if you look towards the key at the bottom, it says Paul Revere's route. A route is a path that you go. And then it says the British patrols. So notice that Mr. Revere was trying to go in a way where he wouldn't run into the patrols, okay?
The American Revolution began the next day. This war was fought between the colonists and the British. It lasted 8 difficult years.
So basically what we read right here about the American Revolution, that was a war. And basically it's trying to tell you it was a war between the colonists and the British. And how long did it last?
8 difficult years.
8 long, difficult years. Very good. Next page.
We celebrate our country's independence on July 4th. On that day in 1776, people told the British we wanted our freedom. Paul Revere helped the colonists to begin their fight. He helped make America free.
Okay, so basically now we see the significance that Paul Revere had in the Revolutionary War. He was one of the people that helped us to be able to win the fight, even though it took us a very long time. Okay. What does Paul Revere do after he sees that there are 2 lights in the Old North Church? Yes.
When he sees that there were two lights, he quickly knew that they were coming in boat, and he decided to go to Lexington as fast as he can, so he can warn them to not. So the important leaders don't get arrested.
Good. Which word on page 16 means freedom from the British rule? And explain how you know. Yes.
Independence.
Very good. Independence. So she said independence. Who are they trying to get their independence from?
From the British people.
From the British. Very good. And at the beginning it did say why. Why? Go back in the text. Why? It said they wanted their independence for what reason?
Because the Americans did not like the rules from the king.
Very good. Thank you.